welcome to another episode of the Pursuing Greatness podcast, the place experts share their wisdom on living well by mastering health, wealth, relationships, and spirit. Before we get started, I want to let you know that the best way to support the show is just to subscribe, like, and share this episode with your friends and family. Also, if you'd like to learn more about how to master life, check out our website at pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com. With that said, I hope you enjoy the episode. We have a very special guest with us today, so grab your pen and paper and enjoy the journey. All right. We are live with another episode of the Pursuing Greatness podcast. Today we have Keyen Lage. Keyen is a former NFL athlete turned emotional intelligence coach for world-class leaders. Keyen has personally worked with over 300 people on creating a healthy relationship with themselves so they are able to escape the rat race of the achievement loop and step into a place of achieving massive success, impact, and money from a place of ease. I am super excited to have Keyen here. He has a great story, but I'm going to leave that to him. So Keyen, thank you for hopping on the podcast. How are you today?
Yeah, Gabe, I am doing incredible out here, man. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to drop some knowledge bombs and some wisdom for everybody out there that is on here today.
Perfect. I love it. Usually we start with stories, but I'm gonna ask, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Perfect. That's really cool because so it's winter down there right now, isn't it? Or summer down there, isn't it?
Correct. It's summer. It's beautiful, man. The weather's beautiful. The people are beautiful. The good feelings are flowing out here, man. So it's really cool. It's really cool to be a part of.
I'm jealous. All right. So yes, we always start with stories. I know you got a good one. So why don't you take us to the beginning? How did you get started down the path you're on right now?
Yeah, my story starts with being able to accomplish my lifelong dream since I was 10 years old. In third grade, I drew a picture for the thing that I wanted to do with my life, and it was me making it to the NFL. And I was able to shift and move things around and make things happen in a way that allowed me to get to that place and making it all the way to the NFL. And I found out while I was there that I would never be able to play again shortly after I got the news that I would be an NFL athlete. From there, I quickly pivoted and followed a path of inspiration inside of me that's led me to living in Rio de Janeiro now. But the last 5 years has really been a process of me discovering me, who I am, who I want to be, who I'm not. And it's been a ride. It's been a ride. So these last 5 years post-football have been so incredible for me to really uncover and discover me independent of any previous identities that I associated with being the athlete, with being the good old boy from the Midwest, and really stepping into a season of life of whatever it is that I want to be and whatever I want to do. So that's what the last 5 years has been for me post-football.
Man, that is crazy. So you were working towards an NFL career. So it sounds like you had an injury, took you out of that tract, and that was where all of your identity was wrapped up in that dream, which I can really associate with. And then once it ends, you're just like, wow, what do I do now?
Yeah, certainly. It was an interesting combination. It was a cauldron of emotions I was experiencing. I would say at the beginning, when I got the news I'd never be able to play again, I was an emotional wreck during that night. But then, ironically, after I purged all the feelings that I was feeling, I went and had a bite to eat in Kansas City before I flew out back home the next day, and actually felt a little bit of relief. It was a little relief from the pressure that I've been putting on myself.
And so people listening and watching, we are going to experience just a few issues with the transmission because he is calling it from Rio. So I'm going to just wait until that pops back in.
Yep.
And there he is. Awesome. So Keyen, you were just talking and it sounded like you, on the night of the injury or the night of the moment where you realized you were not able to pursue your dream, you're not able to keep going down the path of being an NFL pro player. You kind of had a sense of relief. You realized that there was a weight that was taken off your shoulders.
Yeah. The years and years of pressure that I put on myself to perform and be a certain way, just like, now clearly there was a lot of confusion because I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I had a backup plan for what I I thought would be a good idea to do. I went to school for finance, so I thought I wanted to be a financial analyst. But after football got done, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to go do that. So afterward, it was a lot of confusion, a lot of just a lot of confusion, man. Just a lot of confusion for who I was, and path and direction that I wanted to take, independent of anybody else.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean those moments in life. I hate belaboring the old, the pieces of wisdom that are just constantly reiterated in society today. But everybody always talks about that a crisis is, or what is it? The Japanese symbol for crisis is opportunity and fear, or something like that. And so you went into a crisis, but there's also an opportunity in that moment. There's a chance to recreate yourself. So, I mean, you keep talking about confusion. What did you do to kind of bring yourself through that moment? What got you from the point where you realized, shit, my dreams are gone. What I had built my life around is completely gone. Now I need to recreate myself. How did you get through that?
Yeah, I decided that I was going to do something that was fun for me, which was helping other people build their physical body and getting out of where I was from. I'm from South Dakota, and I decided to move to a place that many would say is the opposite of South Dakota, in Miami, Florida. And about 5 months after I was done with playing football, I made the move out to Miami with a good friend of mine. And wow, that was a hell of a time. We had a lot of fun, a lot of experimenting, and just really was both of us just really stepping out of identities that we'd previously had and stepping into something new that we had a really great time experiencing.
Yeah, and it's funny, like once something ends like that, I know in my own life, once one identity kind of breaks away, you're not automatically given a new identity. It's something that you have to create. It's something that you have to iterate into. Unless you have something going into it that you already knew you were going to be, it really is a process of experimentation, of understanding where your next steps are going to take. So, I mean, you said you're down in Miami, you were experimenting, you're trying to figure out what these next steps are. How'd you go about creating this new identity and moving forward into where you are right now?
Well, a lot of it was the realization that I didn't know who I was. That's what the first step was, is just being like, whoa, like I don't really even know who I am. And I think that's a really powerful thing to be able to come to terms with and be okay with, because I feel like there's a societal pressure that says we have to know who we are, we have to know what we want, and if we don't know, especially I would say in the personal development community, is like you need to know your purpose, you need to know what you like, your big mission is. And there's so much pressure to figure that shit out. And it really, what it does is it causes people to step into making decisions quicker than we're ready for, without really being able to give ourselves permission to not know what we want, and to give ourselves permission just to be in the energy of not knowing what we want, and give ourselves permission to experiment and trying a bunch of different things, and then allowing the cards to fall where they may, without putting that pressure on ourselves to have to know what I want with my life for the rest of my life. And a lot of it's the American way too. A lot of it's that pressure to do. I know there's other cultures that are relatively similar as well, into knowing what we want and committing to that. But really just giving ourselves permission to just be in a season of life. And really, like, that's how I live my life now, is now just being open to trying new things that are presented in front of me and following my own inspiration. That's how I live. I do, but I don't know what I'll do in a couple of years now. I could be doing it, I might not be. But really, what I've learned to do through the process of giving myself permission to not know what I want, is to actually fall in love with that process. And then when I do find things that I do like, and I do feel really inspired to continue to do, I do more of it. Right. So being able to step out of that place of rigidity and structure that so many of us, high achievers, high performers, put ourselves into, to be able to create a foundation for what we want. It's then a responsibility to lose that, to be able to get to the next level in life. And that's the people that I work with now, are the people that have mastered the mindset. They've mastered the structure and the morning routine, and what needs to be done to create something. And now I say it, what got you here won't get you there. Being able to step into the place of trust and faith, and no longer control and manipulation of outcomes. And that's really what allows there to be continual growth after the personal development side is mastered and established.
Yep. No, and I 100% agree. I mean, I love personal development kind of books and that genre of literature. But I agree that most of it tells you that you need to just push and do it, and you have this vision. You have to have your vision. Just go and get it, which is great. I mean, there is a time in your life when you do have to, kind of pull yourself up by the shoestrings and just say, I got to get this. I don't, no excuses. Let's just get it. But it doesn't help when you really are when you don't really have a clear focus, a clear vision for what you want. And if you're in that space where you don't have a clear vision, then taking really direct action is only going to get you in a direction that you isn't 100% accurate to where you actually want to go. So I love that you said that. I also like that you said you have to fall in love with the process of creation, because I think that's 100% accurate. If you're following your intuition, if you're following your gut and where you want to go, it's not always going to be clear. And so you really have to trust that the process is going to work out in the end. You have to trust that process, and not, believe that it has to be a certain way once you get to the end. So love that those pieces of advice. So right now you're working with professionals, you're working with people to get them to the next level, to be in this space of creation. What is the process that you kind of take people through?
Victimizing themselves big time, right? Because most of the people that I work with, they're people that have taken a lot of accountability for themselves in their life. They've been the ones initiating success, been initiating, pushing themselves really hard to get what they want. Right? So for people that are, I would say me too, somebody that, my parents never pushed me. Like I was pulling them since I was in third grade, dude. Like I didn't need anybody motivating me to get what I wanted. I'd always been motivated. And the hardest thing for me was to be able to allow myself to be a victim for a little while and not cover my hurt and my internal pain with optimism and forward moving, and allowing myself to actually feel a lot of hurt that I had unprocessed inside of my own body, allowing me to be able to stop attaching to a lot of these things that we're talking about. And that's really what it was for me and a lot of my clients, is allowing us to be victims in the context of these spaces of going in and just allowing ourselves to feel as we're actually feeling, and purging a lot of that stored emotion inside of our bodies, allowing there to be clarity and peace that emerges on the other side. Because so much of that drive and that need to have to perform and make things happen comes from a lot of lack inside of us, causing us to have to attach to the outcome. And what do we know about attachment and detachment? Well, when I allow myself to detach from an outcome, best case scenario emerges, right? But it's not a matter of just saying, hey, dude, you need to detach from all the things that you're attached to in your life. Not as easy as that, right? Because there's reasons why we do attach things. So what I do is I take people to the place of being able to go in and find the root reason why I attach my identity and my okayness to certain achievements and ways of being, process all that stored emotion associated with that need to have to attach to those things. Then on the other side, be able to embody detachment, not consciously trying to detach, but embody it through the releasing of the stored emotion.
No, that's interesting. And I like that you said you allow yourself to kind of be the victim, because I feel generally in today's society, the word victim is like, should not allow yourself to be a victim. Do not be the victim, be the agent, be the one going out there making moves. The moment you have that mindset of being the victim, then you're in the wrong. And I understand where you're going. You're saying that basically, if you allow yourself to feel the pain behind being the victim, then you can kind of realize what the source of that pain is and move through it. Is that kind of accurate to what you're saying?
Absolutely. And that's where it's a beautiful ebbs and flows of life, right? The beginning tends to be getting out of victimhood and being able to take massive accountability. And that's the place a lot of people are at, right? They're in a position of, not being motivated to get off the couch and do what or know what they want with their life and take action. But once you do get to a place of being able to take the action that you need to take, and you've been able to create the success that you want, this is the cool part, is that the most unvictim thing that you can do at that point is to allow yourself to be a victim, right? If that makes sense, right? So the most unvictim, if that's a word, thing that you can do after mastering the ability to not be a victim is to allow yourself to be a victim.
Right, because then you're not forced by something inside of you to do something that you don't want. You're making your choice. You're saying, okay, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to allow myself to feel this emotion, and I'm just going to get through it because it's not going to dictate my actions from this point forward.
Absolutely, and that's a really interesting thing. Is a lot of the people that have mastered the art of not being a victim believe that their logic and their pragmatic ways of being is completely independent of their own emotions. And that's bullshit. There's actually studies that have shown that when we shut off that part of the emotional part of our brains, we don't have the capacity to make decisions, right? So regardless of how pragmatic or logical or you know, brain oriented you are, at the end of the day, decisions are still being made from an emotional place. And so we can either make the decision to go in and process our emotions and actually understand them, or we can be the suppressor and the pusher downer that ultimately leads to us creating chaos in our life because of our inability to actually be in touch with our emotions, right? So it's one of the two. You can either suppress it and be controlled by it, or you can go in and get to know your emotions and process them and actually become less emotional in the process, which is really, really powerful.
Yep. No, man, I love it. Preaching to the choir. That's great stuff. But hey, man, we just crossed the 15-minute mark, so I got to move us on to the quick question round. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Always starts out with books. I'm a big bookie, so why don't you tell us 2 book recommendations? One, just general life wisdom, and then one for whatever topic you're talking about. It could be mindset, whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, well, I always share this book, The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. That's number one for me. That was what really inspired me to get into this space of creating just a fucking epic life that I feel really, really good about. So that book, The Biology of Belief, and then most recently, Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. Oof.
Oh,
I don't know if that'll hit with anybody else, but for me, I'm just like a really adventurous person that loves to try new things, and to give myself permission to do that. And reading his book and the life that he's lived, I would just it just gave me so much more permission to continue to step into that place of not needing to make decisions out of timelines in my head, right? Or doing things out of ways that I think should be done a certain way. And that guy really has lived and embodied what I want to continue to live and embody. So Biology of Belief was really what got me into this space. But then Green Lights by McConaughey is the really, really big one for me.
nice, man. I've read Biology of Belief. That is a great book. Green Lights, though, I'm definitely picking that up. Matthew McConaughey, I love that guy. So that's a great recommendation. Going on to the next question. So habits. I know we're talking about non-structure, but I'm going into structure. Habits are one of the things that kind of give you the foundation for your life, for how you live it. So if you could point to one habit in your life that you feel has contributed the most to your health, well-being, success, what would that habit be?
The habit of being able to tap in and get in touch with my own needs and desires. And how I operate with my habits is I'm relatively inconsistent. I'm consistently inconsistent, where I'll spend a short season just being really inspired to do one or two things in a certain way. And then when I don't feel inspired anymore, I'll transition into something different. And for me, it's just been the consistency of consistently doing different things. I know that's probably not what many people say talk about for their habits, but it's been so freeing for me, and it's allowed me just to tap into doing whatever I want to do at all times, and recognizing that I get a lot of success when I do that. So that's the premise of how I operate. But the one thing in this season of life that like really just like sets me on just an amazing track for the day is I got to get to the ocean, man. I take a dip in the ocean, and that right there is like, especially the cold water here in Rio. And I know not everybody has a Rio right by them or next to them, but really, the point I want to get across is like, what makes you feel good? Not what does everybody else tell you that's going to make you feel good. Like, what is it that makes you feel good? And that's how we should start our day. Is tapping into that place of like, what is the thing that makes me feel good and really gets me going in a positive direction? Not what is the local, homie telling me to do my 5 things in the morning to set my day off right. No. What do I like that puts me in a good space to start the day? And for me, the ocean is just like boom. Oh, the ocean, man.
Nice. I love it. I actually just took a trip down to San Diego a while ago, and I was right on the ocean, and I was just sitting there looking at it and being like, wow, this is really nice. It's just so peaceful. It gets you in a good headspace. Moving on. So if you can go back to the Keyen who was, he had his goal of being a professional football player. He was going towards it. Go back to that Keyen, look him in the eye, and give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Dude, you're a fucking legend. Like you don't have to try so hard.
I love it.
Like
I love it.
you already are. Like you already are. You don't have to try so hard.
Perfect. All right. So this is the last question. This is for people who are listening and watching. You've given us a lot of good things to think about, a lot of wisdom that you've shared. I'm sure people want to reach out and say hi. So what's the best way for them to do that?
My website, KeyenLage.com, and Instagram, Keyen.Lage. Those are probably the two best for me.
Perfect. And I will put those URLs in the show notes. So if you're listening, watching, want to get in contact with Keyen, click the little more in the description. And it'll pop down the full description. In there, you'll find Keyen's URLs. Click through there. Say hi. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Awesome. Well, Keyen, hey, thank you very much for calling in from Rio.
100%, Gabe. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you.
For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason that we do this, so we appreciate having you here. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to me, Gabe, at pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com. Had to think about that one for a second. Or you can reach out to the website, pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com. We would love to hear from you. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep living your best life, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you guys for sticking with us on another episode of the Pursuing Greatness podcast. I hope you got a lot of value out of that guest. Again, the best way to support the show is just to subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family. Also, check out pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com if you want to get more information about what we do and what we offer. I hope you guys have a great day and keep living in integrity with yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode coming shortly.